It was supposed to be the Hollywood trial of the century, the ending of Rob Reiner and his wife's life by their son Nick. But just in the nick of time, things changed, and now celebrities are not on the line to take the stand and testify as to what they saw at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. Today, we'll give you the latest update. Money taken away from Nick. And now, he's looking for any trick he can to stay out of life in jail, and even worse. Folks, it's a beautiful day. It's a great day, even when we cover topics that are tough that come our way. Today, we'll be talking about Conan O'Brien finally breaking his silence about that Christmas party where celebrities were deeply disturbed by the behaviors of Nick Reiner towards his parents. Of course, we know how that went later on. Folks, it's time to get it on in terms of analysis of what's going to happen and why celebrities and maybe even the California political machine are celebrating a major delay. Click the like button. Big news on the way. It was supposed to be the trial of the century in Hollywood, putting many of your biggest celebs up on the stand, but that could not stand, and so things have been changing. That Park Place has this. It's by Marvin Montanaro. Siblings reportedly cut off Nick Reiner defense funding as Rob Reiner murder case moves forward. There he is, not looking swell, but, well, you know what he did, apparently. Recent rumors surrounding defense efforts for Nick Reiner gained some validity this week after new reporting revealed that two of his siblings have stopped funding his private legal representation as he faces, well, deletion charges in L.A. According to a report from the New York Post, siblings Rami Reiner and Jake Reiner have cut off financial support, which would come from their parents' money, for their brother's private attorney as the high-profile case continues to unfold. Now, we had heard this, and we reported on it, that a guy named Alan Jackson, not the country singer, one of the meanest, crankiest, and yet most competent defense attorneys in the country, had been brought in to defend Nick Reiner. And not only had this guy been brought in to defend, but rapidly, which may have indicated that maybe, perhaps, perchance, there was a dance being done even before the deletion to have this guy ready to go. Not suggesting he would have known that, but Nick Reiner may have set aside some money to get hold of this guy after what happened occurred, allegedly. Now, folks, the big news about this is not that the siblings have cut off the funds and therefore he can't afford this guy anymore. And the guy's not going to do it pro bono because there's very little chance this goes the way that Nick Reiner would like for it to. That's not the news. The news is that because they cut off the slush fund supply to this guy, he now has had to go get a public defender, we believe. And a public defender given to him by the state, well, that's going to delay things, eh? And that means, guess what? This trial's not happening anytime soon. Sources citing the report indicated that Romy and Jack are not participating in their brother's legal strategy. Nick's defense is Nick's defense. They're not involved. A source told TMZ, which is a trash place. Don't go to TMZ. The movie illustrates an apparent family divide following the shocking killings that stunned Hollywood late last year. Now, the big news is that Conan O'Brien has now come out and made his first comment on this. The allegations were that Conan O'Brien would not allow people at his party to call the police or call for mental health assistance, and that the Reiners were under attack from their son at this celebrity Christmas party. And so we were watching, and by the way, Conan O'Brien, love the guy. He probably doesn't share my politics, but everything I've heard is he's a super nice guy, right? It's kind of like the Weird Al thing. Love Weird Al, don't agree with him one bit about politics. Would love to get a chance to tell Conan and Weird Al, guys, you know better than this, but they're great and they handle people so kindly and so nicely. You want to root for them. But Conan, the allegations are now, maybe that celebrity's throwing him under the bus. I don't know. Maybe it's them saying, well, since we didn't call, we're going to blame it on somebody else. But Conan O'Brien is finally talking about this. Months down the road, this is a big deal. One of his big buddies, Rob Reiner, right after his Christmas party, taken out by a son who was there at the Christmas party. Now he's speaking. He says, quote, to have that experience of saying goodnight to somebody and having them leave and then find out the next day that they're gone, Conan told the New Yorker, I think I was in shock for quite a while afterward. I mean, there's no other word for it. It's just it's so awful. It's just so awful. He says they were just such lovely people. And I think about how Rob felt about things that are happening in the country, how involved he was, how much he put himself out there. This is politics. And to have that voice go quiet in an instant is still hard for me to comprehend. Of course, that's talking again about politics, and I just don't know why we got to go there. It's enough that the man lost his life in a way that nobody would ever wish upon anyone. So, panel, here's what happened. Ron Culture, because the money got taken away it's actually slowed down the trial. And that means this might all be pushed away. It gives lots of time for them to find some way to not have to testify, or they can testify in a subpoena and that gets read out loud years down the road. But Hollywood and all of these celebrities that were there at this party, for right now, they're not being asked the hard questions. Conan in this interview with the New York Post or whatever it was, not being asked about, hey, did you stop people from calling the police? Did you, none of those questions being asked, and it's going to be a long time before they get asked. I think that's a problem. I wish this had gone a different way. What do you guys say?
This is a very difficult situation, I think, for any one of them who were even involved on the fences, right? Like just I mean, here is Conan at this party, and all of the I'm just trying to put myself in the situation, which is hard to do. I'm not a Hollywood celebrity. I don't go to parties like this, but I would imagine that would have been a difficult thing for him to do, to call the police or say, hey, it's weird. It's, if he really legitimately thought there could have potentially been an emergency situation, yes, he absolutely would have needed to call the authorities, but there might have been there might not have been enough of an indication to where he thought that was necessary. And we don't really know the circumstances. But I do have a question about this. You'll have to answer it. But my understanding is, and I could be wrong, that a plea has been entered, and
not guilty. The insanity.
Okay, I was right.
Okay, so let's talk about that, Ron, because there was some thought that he would file for insanity. That was a very hard legal case to be made in California. They don't typically give insanity. I know that's surprising to people to hear that, but shockingly, that's true. But if anybody was going to be able to do it, it was going to be that Alan Jackson, not the country singer, high profile, high paid attorney. Once he went away, it's just went to not guilty. Now, I don't know how they're going to go for the not guilty, but it's going to be this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a real tough one. And it's going to require the testimonies of these celebrities like Conan O'Brien and Jane Fonda and the rest who were there, who witnessed, allegedly, all of this transpire starting at the Christmas party, where people were they were troubled. They were troubled by what they saw, the way he was treating his parents. Culture, your thoughts?
I think you pointed out, what the reason that they went with the not guilty plea. It's going to stall this. Again, when you have no power in any kind of law confrontation, you delay. The longer you can delay, it works in your favor. The other party has to work harder for longer to get things accomplished. This is the same kind of tactic being used against Justin Baldoni, but in a civil matter. This is a criminal matter. Again, I think it's more than just the formality of losing the high-end representation. I think it's probably the last strategy that they have, is to delay this, get a public defender, then you have multiple shots at an appeal, because nobody's going to find this guy not guilty.
Culture, what do you think about the theory? And I hate to go here because it's a little grotesque, but there are a lot of people involved in this. What do you think about the idea that Rob Reiner was involved in the political machine of California, and that this could get really, really ugly? Nick's going to bring out the reasons why he did this, or why he was forced to do this, and to defend the system, and to prevent the celebrities from being put on the stand, that's why the money was yanked. What do you think about that very harsh theory that's out there?
I look, it's not like you're reaching right now at one of the most divisive points in our history, absent the Civil War and other things that have happened in our past. But I would say that there may be some truth to that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't really appreciate them very much. But as I evaluate that, yeah, I mean, there could be ways to leverage certain details and certain people. What worries me the most is that, because obviously Conan and everybody else at that party can be dragged into this, there could be some very uncomfortable questions asked to some people who, are going to be compelled to answer them truthfully. and it's going to bring a lot of reputations into play. And this is nothing but a mess. It was never going to be anything other than a mess. And absent some terrible tragedy that occurs to Nick, I think we aren't going to have the answer to most of the questions we have for another 5 years.
I think so too, and I think that gets it out of the way of whatever Newsom's going to do with a presidential run. They don't want any of these people involved in any of this stuff, and they don't want any of the skeletons out of the closet. How long did people know that this was such a troubled young man, and who knew when and who knew what? And boy, I you know what? Prayers to the family though, and what those siblings are going through. It's a terrible thing. We wish them well, and it's going to affect them for all their life, and that's not something we would wish on anybody. And never, ever, to our worst enemy, would we endeavor to hope that they would suffer the way that Rob and his wife did. Just so terrible. And put another one in the can, folks. A video of excellence has been birthed into existence, and you were there to witness it. Thank you for participating. We hope you had a good time. Folks, it's a great time anytime we get to share time with you, and we mean it. The only thing additional we ask, on the way out the door, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, if you would be so kind, perhaps share this out on your favorite social media platforms. Folks, we've got all kinds of content coming your way. If you are interested in going even beyond all of that, well, there's a pro store, and you can always find those items directly below the video you're watching. The pro store, it's a cool place to check out for items that, well, definitely Disney and the rest are not going to sell you, but we're happy to do so. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
There are men who go to sea to find fortune, and men who go to sea to lose themselves. I went to sea to find honor. Since I was a boy, I was forged in discipline, faith, duty. They called me loyal. They called me righteous. They called me useful. But the sea does not care what a man is called, only what he becomes when the world takes everything from him. I prayed for peace, and the world answered with only death. I have seen honor used as a mask, and sin used as a shelter. The devil walks plainly in this world without shame or fear, and now the ocean carries whispers of men who believe they can burn faith out of this world. They are wrong. My name is Jonathan Reed. My story has only just begun.